All right, crack open a tepid Genesee and watch the pictures as they travel through the air. It's the Rees Company. I'm Steve Rees, the bull of American broadcasting, alongside the great Chris Morianty. How are you, Chris?
I'm looking California, feeling Minnesota, Steve.
Well, we're very excited tonight because Pittsburgh Ralph is at it again. Ralphing all over YouTube. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but first, Chris, you have something you wanted to talk about?
I do. Steve, we have a presidential election coming up in less than 6 months, and you know, the last two presidential elections, there was a lot of talk about untruths coming up on social media that may or may not have influenced the election. Now, I neither know nor care if they influenced the election, but it does bother me when people post something blatantly untrue on social media, and then I look at the comments, and 90% of the people just fall for it.
Right.
So I thought we could have a new segment on the show where we look at people who are just lying on social media or just being jerks on social media. And what I have for us this week is from a social media platform called Nextdoor. And a guy named, I believe, Mark J. posted this.
But hold on, Nextdoor, that's like a neighborhood sort of a message board?
Yeah, it's like Facebook, but you're talking to people who live around you, people in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Which has its uses, but some people are going to abuse it, as we see. Jim, if you wouldn't mind reading this for us.
Where's this at? Let me see. All right, here we go. How could he not? Was coming home tonight from Walmart, sitting at the red light there at the intersection of South Trooper Egypt Road. There was a cop sitting in the parking lot in between the place we call We Buy Gold and the massage parlor, facing the intersection.
Classy place.
This car speeding by the cop there. It's hard to read.
It's a jumble?
Yeah, it's not well composed.
No. This car speeding by the cop there didn't stop at the light, made a right turn there on Egypt Road, and the cop didn't go after this guy. So how could that cop not see that?
Now, I would prefer the cops spend their time like investigating robberies and shootings and stuff. I really don't need them enforcing the traffic rules. That's my opinion. So this already annoys me right off the bat, right? And then as I'm reading it, it occurs to me that I know where this intersection is, and something about it didn't seem right to me. So I went to Google Maps Street View. Jim, if you could bring up our first, see, there's the We Buy Gold place.
Okay.
And to the right there is the massage parlor. It is, in fact, a foot massage parlor. So I don't know if that means it's legit or not. I don't know. But this is, you can see the intersection that he's talking about. And then a 180-degree spin from there. If Jim, bring up clip 2 there, you'll see the other side of the intersection. And I've circled something there. You can see what those are, Steve. 2 yield signs.
Oh.
Which means this guy is completely wrong. That car that he says ran a red light just went through yield signs, which is what you're supposed to do.
So this guy sees the color red and assumes it means stop.
The stoplight was for him, not for the guy making the right turn. So here he is trying to call out a cop who was doing his job, or at least not doing his job.
Right.
Because the guy driving the other car committed no traffic violation.
I see what you're saying. So the guy complaining
is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, he's wrong. And I have proof here. Which, if you go back to the first one again, you can see that I posted this. You see me, that's me, the last comment down there, with the picture with the circle in it, telling this guy, no, there was a yield sign there. And I think it's covered up, but I did get like a bunch of thumbs up. People agreed with me. I'm obviously right here.
Well, you're fact-checking neighborhood complaints.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that in the next 6 weeks. I think a lot of it is going to be me complaining about my neighbors, more than Russians who are making up news stories. But so Mark J., here's what I'd like to say to you, jackass. Next time you decide that you need to stop at a yield sign because you don't know the rules of the road, I hope this happens to you.
Nude pics of Kelly Clarkson. What year? 2021?
Hit the brakes, you jackass! Hopefully we don't get in trouble for any kind of inciting violence or anything like that.
I sure hope not.
Yeah.
So, shall we do this? It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
It has. For quite some time, we've been observing the antics of a chap called Ralph Williams. Now, for the new folks, Ralph Williams, he's a wannabe Pittsburgh radio personality. He does several shows on YouTube. Our favorite one being, it's called The Way I See It. But
Right.
It's now called, actually, The Way We See It, since he picked up a co-host.
Right.
Now, as we say all the time, he's the kind of guy you would root for in life if he wasn't such a colossal fish sandwich. He likes to mention that he's a disabled guy in a wheelchair and seems to think that that entitles him to special treatment in situations to which his disability is completely irrelevant.
Right.
He likes to make impassioned rants about things he's completely wrong and uninformed about.
Well, yeah. Sure. We all do that, though, don't we?
He's given himself a name.
Okay.
Pittsburgh's Forgotten Son.
Oh, right.
He thinks he's a genuine talent who feels shut out by the Pittsburgh radio establishment because, in his words, it's an old boys gang. So, some time ago, Ralphie Boy started doing Sports Corner with Ralph Williams and Smoking Jim Frazier. Now, Jim is Ralph's co-host over the phone on this program.
Right.
They started doing Sports Corner on something called Beaver County Radio. So what Ralph has to do is he has to pay for the airtime in the hopes that he can sell enough ads to cover the cost.
Right.
And we do have a whole episode covering his difficulty in landing his most desired sponsor.
Yes, most of them self-imposed because he was complaining about these people when they turned him down.
Yes.
Which isn't going to invite anyone to want to work with you.
And by turning him down, they just said, well, let us know when the show starts so we can get numbers on this.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard no.
Whether we want to move forward. Yeah. Now, for the most part, we've left Sports Corner alone because Ralph isn't doing a terrible job over there.
I suppose. Sure.
Now, of course, his guest mic wasn't on for the first half of his debut episode. And there was the time Ralph mispronounced his guest's name repeatedly. So the guest masterfully called Ralph Vince throughout the show.
Don't forget when they referred to one of their female guests as Calendar Girl rather than her name.
Calendar Girl. Well,
Calendar Girl.
That's on Smoking Jim Frazier.
Oh.
But overall, I'd give Ralph a passing grade for his efforts over at Beaver County Radio. But keep in mind, in terms of radio talent, sports talk requires the least. In fact, being articulate is practically a liability. So Ralph fits right in that stratum, and good for him. Well, this week, Ralph went live on his YouTube channel with a stream titled Sports Corner Special Announcement Show with Ralph Williams.
Oh, boy.
So before we check out some of this, Chris, when you saw that title, did you think Ralph's announcement was going to be positive news regarding Sports Corner?
Well, you sent me the clip, so I was just hoping it was hilarious.
So you didn't suspect that Ralph might be displeased about something?
Well, yeah, that's a likely assumption, yes.
And displeased about something unnecessarily?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Surprisingly not food-related this time, though.
Yeah. He's picked a new subject. Let's dive into this.
The reason I'm here is because Friday, I get a phone call from the general manager of Beaver County Radio, whose name I'm not going to mention here on this broadcast here, although I should, but I'm not going to.
He doesn't care.
He calls me up. He tells me that Tuesday my show is being preempted for WPIAL playoffs. Now, I'm frustrated with him because I just had lined up a whole bunch of guests, and now I have to reshuffle myself and reshuffle their schedule, okay? And so, therefore, I can't put the radio show on Beaver County Radio because of it.
Yeah, so his show is being preempted for high school sports.
Yeah, that's what that PIAA is. It's high school sports.
Yeah, and that's probably...
football, basketball, it's not the time of year for either of those. So I can only assume it's baseball.
I don't
know what they'd be covering.
I have no idea, but I don't think this is too uncommon. I don't think this is an unrealistic expectation for a community radio station to cover these sorts of things. And for there to be sort of, our team made it another round, so... we're going to have to do this instead of what you had planned.
Yeah, I suppose I'll actually have more to say on that later. But yeah,
But if this was on disrespectfully short notice, I can kind of see Ralph's beef.
Yes,
Which is something that isn't seen long around Ralph.
beef.
Yeah. But Ralph is upset about more than that, and we'll get to it. But in order to bolster his credibility as a broadcaster,
Oh boy.
Ralph first put himself over here in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And my show is a professional sports radio show. Smoking Jim Frazier and I were rated #1 sports talk radio show in Western Pennsylvania by Galaxy National Broadcast Stations, Galaxy Sports Network, and by TGI Sports Network. Okay?
No, I thought that was interesting because who are these people that say he's tops in his region? I guess is what it is.
Yeah.
Best in the region.
Best in the region, best in genre.
Right. So I thought, well, once again, I'll do some little investigation on the internet, and so I looked up for Galaxy Sports. And Jim, if you could bring up, I guess it's here they are, 8 followers. So, yeah. That's who he's using as well. These people say I'm the best. I have more than 8 followers on my Facebook page, and the last thing I posted was a picture of a dog 6 months ago. It wasn't even my dog. And but then this was hard to find, by the way, this Facebook page.
Took some digging.
Yeah, my first search, Jim, if you could bring up my search results there. When I looked for Galaxy Sports, it's not in this list. But what you will see is the 9th result is Galaxy Sports Bras. So they're more popular. I did, sure.
You clicked on it.
I did.
So shall we get into what Ralph's issue is? We're not going to give it away right now.
Okay.
But his contract is almost up at Beaver County Radio. And we'll get more into that. But first, let's hear why Ralph chose Beaver County Radio to be the home of Sports Corner in the first place.
Say this, when I first started this radio show, in case you're not aware, I don't get paid by Beaver County Radio. I'm what's called a brokered program in radio. That's what they call it. It's called a brokered program, which means you're brokering, you're paying a contract to pay for airtime, okay? And that's how desperate I was to be back on radio, was to do this.
Yeah. Now, by back on radio, Ralph means back on the air in a brokered capacity, because he also paid for airtime on another station years ago, which is one of his problems. Because when you do a show on a platform like Beaver County Radio, that is to broadcasting what the self-published novel is to literature.
Yeah.
No matter how great a work it is, it lacks industry credibility without that stamp of approval from a reputable publishing house.
Yeah, and he also does a what do you call it? Community access television show. Am I wrong about that?
Well, no, he quit that place.
Well, he did have one at one point, though, right?
He did.
And that's actually how we first found him. There was clips of one of those shows on YouTube. But yeah, it's the same thing. You're not looked at as a professional when you take that route.
And what you're saying is that this is the only way I'll ever be able to do this, because no one will hire me because I'm not good enough.
Well,
whether you realize you're telling the industry that, you're telling the industry that.
Yeah, and I don't know that I agree with that, by the way. It's just the way it is.
Well, it's the same with, like I said, a self-published novel. It could be the next Faulkner, but it has kind of a stink on it.
I will say, have you ever read a self-published novel?
Yeah.
I bought one in an airport once, and hardcover. Wise choice, Chris. But yeah, it wasn't very good. But this guy eventually did sell. I mean, if they're selling it at an airport, it's got some kind of distribution behind it.
Yeah, he has some kind of marketing system in place.
So I don't know that this stuff never works, but you're absolutely right in everything you said. Yes.
And speaking of self-published novels, I do recommend Your Raptors by our friend Darren Midnight Martinez.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. A brokered situation isn't for people who want to start legitimate broadcasting careers. It's for two kinds of people. Folks who sell, say, real estate, and they buy time to do a show about the housing market, but it's really just an advertisement for their agency.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
a tool to promote their business. It's for those people, and it's also for ninnies who think Edward James Olmos is the Antichrist.
Yeah, you'll get some of that too.
Yeah. So let's see a little more Ralph.
At first, it was an hour. And I have too much content, so I needed 2 hours. So what happened was at the end of the year, we decided that I was going to go 2 hours, and they gave me a discount, which was great. Good for them. I'm happy they gave it to me. I'm grateful. Paid my bill, kept my mouth shut. Okay. Then when it come time to renegotiate for a new contract, I had asked to be paid.
He has to be paid, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to ask, right?
No, you're going to understand the business model that you're working under here.
I don't think it hurts to ask. However, I would say before you ask, you should have some data to back up your case. Like, I got these sponsors who are willing to pay money, something like that.
Right. They gave him a discount for the second hour. And that might be standard practice over there. I don't know, but that wasn't good enough for Ralph. Now, you may wonder what led Ralph to the conclusion that he should be paid to do Sports Corner. And as usual, Ralph will tell on himself and accidentally reveal what led to him making this big, dumb gamble on himself.
Mm-hmm.
But first, let's hear what Ralph wants us to believe.
Because I feel that the show that Smoke and Jim Frazier and I put on here, and those of you out there who watch or listen to the show or watch it on Facebook across the country and around the world, okay, and who watch it locally in Western Pennsylvania, do know it's a professional show.
No, it isn't. Not in the way Ralph thinks it is. I said some kind words about Sports Corner, but that was in the context of the mediocrity of sports talk and community radio. But it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. The only way Sports Corner makes money for the station is through Ralph paying for the airtime. So now he's asking them to take a weekly loss on a show whose time they can sell to anyone willing to pay for it, regardless of the quality of the show that takes his place.
Yeah. As I said, once we wrap this subject up, I'm going to have a little bit more to say about all this, Steve, but I'm enjoying hearing your side of this, your point of view on it.
Well, let's hear a little more from Ralph.
All right. Sooner or later, the big radio station here in Pittsburgh will come up with their senses to hire us and put our show on their station. They haven't got to that yet. To be frankly honest with you, I really don't want to work for them because they're in bankruptcy. And those of you who live in Pittsburgh understand what I'm talking about. Okay? All right? And I figured, well, you know what? This is great. I says, they're found for bankruptcy. I could be the only voice, one of the only good voices of sports in Western Pennsylvania behind some other individual. And Friday, Beaver County Radio took the wind out of my sails. That's why at the beginning of this broadcast, I played We Are the Champions, the beginning of it, because it's the truth with me. I've paid my dues time after time. I've done my sentence, and I've committed no crime.
Well, apart from copyright infringement.
Yeah. Yeah, he played a whole Queen song.
Yeah, he did. And I wanted to play that intro, too, because it was so obnoxious. But I knew that if we did, it could lead to a copyright claim.
Yeah.
And if we ever reach monetization, by the way, like, comment, subscribe, share, we won't be allowed to cash in on this episode. And I know these things because when I put a show on a platform, I take the time to learn how that platform operates. You might consider doing the same, Ralph. Shall we continue?
Let's.
And I still can't get the respect I deserve. At one point, I was calling myself Pittsburgh's Forgotten Son because it's the truth when it comes to radio in this town with me. Okay? My talent for radio is just as good, if not better, than what we have now.
Okay, look. What Ralph just said there kind of hits home for the bull. There are days when I can be found pacing around the living room, ranting to my wife in almost those exact words. You take out Pittsburgh, take out radio specifically, and it's basically the same sentiment.
Yeah. I don't want to know how often my name comes up in all those rants.
Oh, come on.
That MFer.
Okay, so this next clip, it's a little long, but you need to hear Ralph's next complaint.
You should give me a discount on my airtime. Because, see, here's the thing, folks. When I got started in this, I thought with the economy as bad as it is, that businesses would be blowing up my phone for the affordable advertising that I have, and nothing happened like that. Okay? Nothing happened like that. I sent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails. I made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phone calls.
Most of them to Grubhub.
All I got was excuses. All I got was this, that, and whatever. All I got was a pack of lies. Okay? And what bothers me about sponsorship advertising here in this area is the fact that...
Steve, I don't mean to interrupt things, but what's going on with his microphone in this clip?
Oh, well, no, it's his background
What do I
is
need to do
interfering. He has a kind of a makeshift chroma key.
Right. I'm not. Do you think it's? Do you think he knows that that's happening? I guess is the question.
Well, he must know because I'm sure he's monitoring it.
Right.
Because when he does have a live chat going, he can see the chat, so he can also see what's going out.
I'm just wondering if it was an intentional choice. Like, I know it's not an intentional choice, but if he saw it and he said, like, "Meh, it's all right," because it's really not that bad. We had a worse problem going on here for a few episodes. We fixed it because we're professionals.
Right.
But I don't know. It's not. I don't entirely dislike it, to be honest. But I just wanted to get your input on that.
Yeah, no, I think he must know. He mustn't care.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Ralph Williams continues.
Get you to advertise with me. What is it? What do I have to do? Charge you a quarter for a whole year's worth of advertising? Is that what I have to do to get your attention?
Yeah. Now, here's what's a little odd. We heard everything Ralph just said about advertisers.
Right.
And how much they matter. And how they should come easily to him because he doesn't charge very much.
Right.
Well, just 1 minute later.
Oh, no.
1 minute, Chris. Ralph has this to say.
So let me go back to this, where this discussion got started. I was at a Pitt basketball game, and I get a text from the general manager telling me that my offer is not workable. Then he goes and he tells me that Beaver County Radio is not a sports channel. Okay? And that 3 years ago, he had a sports show on Saturdays, and it made no money for the station. But that's you. That's not me.
No, Ralph, that's you. It may also be that guy, but it's you as well.
You're in the same boat. Yeah.
Yes, you just told us no one wants to advertise on your show. You do a sports show that doesn't make money for the station. But advertisers don't matter, Chris.
Right.
You see, Ralph believes by going on other people's podcasts that no one listens to, he provides value for Beaver County Radio that's worthy of the compensation he demands. So let's watch as Ralph searches in vain for that elusive third noun.
So what does that do? That gives Beaver County Radio publicity. It gives them credibility. And it gives them...
One more.
Why do they listen to Beaver County Radio? Because of me.
Almost. You almost had it.
Oh, Chris, I'm not sure what you want to say about this next clip, but it sure reveals Ralph's inflated sense of relevance on a video with 45 views.
I think this speaks for itself. So.
Okay.
I know what some of you are thinking of in Western Pennsylvania here and in Pittsburgh. Oh, you don't talk about the Steelers all the time. You don't talk about the Pirates all the time. You don't talk about the Penguins all the time. You don't talk about this, that. Some people don't even know who the Riverhounds are.
Some people? There's a shockingly high number of people who don't know who the Riverhounds are.
Are you sure about that?
I once again, I Googled it, and turns out it's a minor league soccer team.
Yeah, well, they're in the second tier of the U.S.
second
soccer
tier
pyramid. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah. So Ralph again complains about being asked to shorten his program. And if you listen closely, I think Ralph reveals unknowingly what the true catalyst was for this contract dispute, his demand for pay.
Was he asking for a buffet? I mean, you got to figure that was in the negotiation.
It usually
somewhere.
is, but I think this is food. This is a food-free complaint.
I mean, look, just stop by Dunkin', get a box before each show. You know, like, give me something. I'm sure that was involved.
Hours not enough for me for what content I have. And for the fact that I paid my bill on time, despite the fact I didn't have enough sponsors to do so, and my family helped me to fund this up until now.
My family helped me to fund this up until now.
Yeah, that's telling.
Yeah, his family is his mother and his wife. Let me ask you, Chris.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a family meeting? Do you think they sat him down? Well, God sat him down. But do you think they cornered him and gave him a talking to?
That's a very likely assumption, Steve.
You told us this was going to make money. I believe your actual words were, that Rogan cash is going to flow in within weeks.
Yeah.
Then they gave him the old Dwight Yoakam and sling blade maneuver. In fairness to Ralph, he does go on to say that this station has an advertising sales department. Did you pick up on that?
I'm assuming it's someone who's paid off of commission if they sell some advertising.
Well,
to the
as
station.
they would be, and that would be their job at any radio station. They would get paid. They would get commission payments.
But I'm
based on
thinking
performance.
it's only, like, I don't think they have a salaried salesperson.
Oh,
at this station. Is what I'm
I
saying.
see. Well, what I think it is, in my opinion, I think they're probably there to support the community programming, like high school sports. I'm guessing they don't charge the school district for the airtime, but it's very easy to go into the community, and it's an easy sell because it involves kids.
Yeah.
And the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like buying T-shirts for a T-ball team or something. Yeah.
So they go down to the gas station and ask the shopkeep, and he says, "Yeah, sure. Here's $40. Glad to do it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to mention we have a blimpie." Okay. Thanks, Mr. Houses.
What's a blimpie? Like a hoagie?
A sub, yeah, like a sandwich shop.
Okay.
Well, Ralph continues to tout his mic skills.
Yeah.
And then he adds perhaps the dumbest thing we've ever heard him say.
Just like anything else, it's all about money. With this radio station, and any other entity in this country or in this world, it's all about money. Forget everything else. Forget that I'm a talented person who has a good voice and who loves to talk sports and who loves to talk on the microphone. Forget that. Forget the fact that Ralph is handicapped and believe it or not, does something like this that no one else does. You know any other handicapped people in wheelchairs that do this kind of thing? No.
I could think of one guy.
I firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
And for all we know, we could hear people on the radio every day who are in wheelchairs, and we wouldn't even know it.
Right.
And you know why, Ralph? Because they don't make it their entire identity.
That's true.
So let's get to Ralph's announcement, or as I call it, the Ralph announcement.
Oh, boy.
I decided to expand it into radio.
Hold on a second. I do want to set this up a little more. Ralph is leaving, no surprise, Beaver County Radio. He's taking Sports Corner back to Pittsburgh Community Television. That's what you mentioned earlier that he was on prior.
Yeah.
And that's public access. And that's where he used to do the show until he quit after a rise in studio rental costs.
Yeah, I think he's also taking it to the streets. get the people riled up.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Ralph has some big travel plans.
Oh,
Well, I'm going back to TV starting July, right after the 4th of July holiday, because I'm going on a nice little relaxing trip up to Erie, and I'm going to enjoy myself. My wife and I, we're going to enjoy ourselves. All right. Check out Erie, do some fishing, go to Grove City. Have a blast. For some people, nah. They got to go to the Bahamas, Hawaii, all that. Nah. I'm satisfied just going to Erie.
yeah. Why should I buy out a whole row of seats on a plane for me and my wife when I can just hire some Mexican with a box truck to haul us up to Erie? Go on.
So Ralph, he wraps things up, but not without some parting words for Beaver County Radio.
I thought you meant for us.
With these 3 stations, one of them lights up, it's going to happen. Okay? Just remember, Beaver County Radio, you didn't think I had a plan B or a backup? Yes, I did. It's been happening. I don't do anything in my life without a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Nothing in my life that I do without that.
That's true. I actually have some documented evidence of his plans. Jim, if you could bring up, I'm not sure what we named that one, but I think it was just called Ralph.
So this was another dive you went into?
Yes,
And
I did some more research online,
research?
and I found one of Ralph's plans.
Okay, let's see this.
Yeah, Plan A there is for the Texas Roadhouse, and there was a setback there, as you can see.
Okay.
So he went next door to Plan B, which was Applebee's. Once again, a setback. Well, as you can see, Plan C, finally, some success at Freddy's Burgers or whatever that is. Yeah.
So he indeed does follow that path of life.
Yeah,
It was his
lying.
backup plans.
Yep.
So let's give people a little background as far as producing this episode and how things occurred. Because we had a different intention initially.
Okay.
Our original...
Now, Steve, are you attempting to move on
I am.
from the Ralph Williams clips? Because, honestly, but we just spent a lot of time making fun of this guy, and not just tonight. Like, a lot of time over the last...
Yeah. There's plenty in our archive
Right.
regarding this man and his antics.
But I got to say, Steve, I don't disagree with him on a lot of what he's saying here. If you run a radio station and the most entertaining thing you have is high school sports, you should take a shot on Ralph, is my opinion.
But Ralph has done a station show there for a year.
Right.
And he has not drawn any money.
Right, because the way to make him entertaining is not the show that he's doing or the show he thinks he's doing or the show he wants to do. If I'm running that radio station, what I'm going to do is say, okay, Ralph, we'll let you continue to work here for free, but we're going to pair you up with a 22-year-old lunatic who has offbeat views that'll push all of Ralph's cantankerous conservative buttons. That would be a good radio show.
But do you think it's that kind of station where they're after attention? All they're after is the rental fee.
But why is radio? Why are people in radio so uncreative that they wouldn't want to put one freaking entertaining show together? They'd rather play high school sports. Like, Ralph isn't wrong. Like, somebody should take him and be like, you do have some kind of talent. It's not what you think it is, but you do have some kind of talent, and we could make something of that.
But this particular station isn't going to do that because their business model is upside down, in my opinion, but it's how this station operates. What Ralph is essentially doing is, and he'll identify with this, Ralph is going into a restaurant, ordering food, eating the food, and when the check comes, he says, oh, no, I want to be paid for eating. I ate this food really well. I deserve compensation.
You're completely right. But I don't understand why, if you're running a radio station, you wouldn't. The best thing you have is high school sports, you wouldn't think I could probably do something with it. He's willing to work for free. You get, like I said, you team
Not
him
anymore.
up with some 20. He would. I mean, if they offered it to him, he would. I guarantee you that. And you get some, like I said, some 22-year-old lunatic. You get him off an open mic show. That kid's going to work for free too. It would cost you nothing to put a show together. You need one sponsor, and you're making a profit off of that.
He can't get one sponsor.
He doesn't. I'm saying the station could do that for him if they had a show that was
They're not those
entertaining,
kind of
and that's what I know. That's what we agree on that. But I'm saying if you got into radio wanting to run a radio station and you're satisfied with high school sports, why not take a shot on this guy?
I'm not sure these are radio people running this. It's owned by a hospital.
All right. Well, you know what? That's a valid point that I did not know. But I know that there's a lot of entertaining radio that's been canceled over the year because the guy said ass one time and he gets fired. It seems like nobody's really willing to take they think, we can play music or sports talk or news. And nobody thinks outside the box. This guy could be doing some fun stuff if he got direction as to what he's doing.
How about this? Here's how you make Ralph Williams entertaining. We replace him. We pay to replace him on Beaver County Radio.
Sure.
And do a show called Ralph Williams is a Jackass.
I mean, I think we get some listeners. and we could call him. We could call him and have him on the show.
Yeah, he's welcome to be a guest, not in studio.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we don't have the food budget for that.
So, as we were saying, are you anything you'd like to add?
I've said my piece.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
I feel like he has a talent is what I'm saying.
He doesn't have a talent.
And it could be developed.
He doesn't have a talent. No, it can't be because he doesn't listen.
Right, but
he's incapable of learning.
But that's what's funny about him.
And recognizing his own strengths. Okay, but if you're not in charge of what makes you entertaining, you're not genuinely entertaining.
Okay.
It takes people like us to make you entertaining.
Well, yeah. And I said you got to surround him with people that'll bring out what would make it entertaining. But yeah, we understand each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned a bit earlier, our original intention for this week was to take a look at a couple more employee training videos.
Sure.
And that fell away right after the big Ralph announcement.
Right.
But coincidentally, we did see a familiar face in this Hardee's video from 1988. I want to take a look at this. It's called... what's this one called?
I don't know.
Your reputation is on the line, which makes it sound like Hardee's conducts blackmail against their employees. You put too much ice in there, not enough ice in the soft drink. Okay, here we go.
We want our customers to remember their visit to Hardee's. This happened because somebody got careless in bagging his order and didn't follow procedure.
Well, that unfortunate man.
I believe that was Ralph Williams.
I think that's an early appearance by Ralph Williams. We do have a side-by-side from Ralph in, I believe, the 90s or early 2000s. Not a dissimilar appearance.
This may have been his only paying gig in show business.
Possibly.
Yeah. Is there anything else notable about this Hardee's video other than her accent, which I think I've pinned down to a person with a Southern accent who's trying to not have a Southern accent so they can get cast in television? I think that's what that accent is.
That's what it sounded like. Well, we're going to hear a little more from her because Ralph not only, in our opinion, appears in this, I suspect he also had an uncredited hand in writing it as well.
Oh, boy.
I love to see customers happy. It gives me a great feeling. In fact, the way I see it is when a...
Oh, the way I see it, yeah.
With Ralph Williams. Anything we didn't talk about you might want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, in that case, I think we did it.
All right.
Anything else you'd like to mention?
No.
I had one
just
thing.
said no.
I do have one thing. I'm going to put a link in the description of a show I did recently for Bird's Ear View. Our friend Karen from Philly asked me to do a rock and roll project.
Oh, very cool.
It's a program where I play classic rock songs and tell stories
Okay.
out of my life and about the music. And you can check it out. You can check it out in the description. Mickey the Moocher, I also want to mention him because he put the mix together for us.
Oh, cool.
Greatly appreciate that. And Jim Corhan engineered it. So
Yes, appearing on mic for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Tonight.
yeah.
Yep.
So in that case, for Jim Corhan, Chris Morgatti, I'm Steve Rizowski.
Oski Wawa.
Hold it back now.
Tigers.
Eat it raw, we did it.